Hey everyone, it's Deb here, and I wanted to talk to you about week 5, week 6, and traveling. I am actually in Minnesota right now visiting a bunch of relatives who I have not seen in a very long time, so it's been interesting. I'm kind of out of my element. It's kind of hard to make this video. I keep restarting it because I'm not exactly sure where I'm at. I've not been thinking as much about what I'm doing, which has been interesting, trying to adjust to eating in a totally different environment. We're not just out of the house, we're in a totally different state. We're in a hotel room. There's no refrigerator, so I don't have the option of just like, let's run by the store and grab a few things to throw in the refrigerator. I've been here for 3 days. I'll be here for 1 more day. So it was kind of a interesting process. I decided to bring with me my protein shakes that I like so much, the Premier protein shakes, which are liquid, so I cannot put them in my carry-on. I have to check them. So I put a bunch of them in my suitcase. I also put, like, I don't know, little cans of those little Vienna sausage kind of things, just for backups. I haven't really eaten any of those. Drank the protein shakes, kind of like that's been my breakfast. And then the end of the day, if I realize I haven't had enough protein. And I've been sort of guessing. I've been putting things in my FitnessPal with my phone, but I've been guessing a lot before I get there, and it's been interesting trying to figure it out. It's not like there's so much trouble finding things, it's just deciding what things will work and what things should work. And, you got to kind of regroup your thinking. I have, I did like McDonald's at the airport because that was the only option I had. I had drank a protein shake for breakfast, but then I was kind of hanging out for several hours, so I got felt like I should eat something, and I had protein bars. I had these pure protein bars, upside down, pure protein bars that are 20 grams of protein, like 2 grams of sugar, so they're like right in line. They have between like 170 and 200 calories depending on which one you get. And they have like 14, 17 carbs, but only 2 grams of sugar. So the carbs are coming from other things like the other products that are in there. It's not from sugars, so it's not it's not too bad. And for if you eat one of these, they're not very big. Like half of them makes a meal, and they they taste pretty good. They're not too bad. They're a little dense, but in a pinch they fit in your purse. They let you bring them on the plane. So I had one on the plane, or half of one. I think I had half of one on a plane. I drank a protein shake before I got there, and then had half of one of these on the plane as a snack. And then before I got on the plane, when I was hanging out for a couple of hours, rather than eating a protein shake, then I went to McDonald's and got like a biscuit, like those sausage biscuit with egg kind of a thing, and ate just a little bit of the biscuit and the egg and the sausage. Basically, you just take the sandwich apart and you just eat the parts inside. And, that went okay, and then I just sort of wrapped it up and saved it and ate a little bit more later. So you just have to kind of be creative. The other things I've eaten the last couple of days, I'm looking at my computer trying to figure it out. We went to the mall. We're right by the Mall of America in Minnesota, so we went shopping yesterday after all the funeral services for my grandmother, which was draining. So you got the emotional stuff also that you're dealing with, seeing... I have a bazillion relatives here. Cousins, second cousins, once covered, second cousins removed, and this, that, and the other thing. So that was physically, emotionally kind of draining day. And then we went to the mall in the afternoon, into the evening for several hours. We were walking all around the mall, which was good exercise. But of course, then we had to eat. And, we got the food court to work with, so we sat in the food court and looked around, and there were options. There was, every one of those restaurants has some options, some that don't. I mean, pizzas, you just can't do pizza unless you eat just a tiny piece and that's it. But you're not going to get much for it. What I did find was like the Greek gyros. I just went up and asked them, can I just get the gyros meat and a little feta cheese and some of the sauce on the side just to have a little taste of it. And that worked out pretty good. Of course, the portion is huge, so if I had a fridge, I could have had like 5 meals out of it. I just didn't have a fridge, so I had some when I was sitting there in the mall, and then when I got home later that night I had a little bit more, so I had maybe a total of 4 ounces of it during that day, and it went down. It agreed with me. In fact, it tasted really good, so that worked out pretty well. And then We went to the Perkins restaurant this morning, which I haven't done yet since I had my surgery. I just ordered 1 egg and some bacon, and they said that the cheapest one was to get a senior meal, even though I'm not a senior, but they didn't seem to care. She said, oh, it'll be so much cheaper if you just get the senior meal. It comes with fruit. You get the fruit regardless. So I was like, well, that costs the same. So I got the fruit, figuring that we had a whole bunch of us there. Somebody would eat the fruit. And they did. I passed it on to my mom, finished the fruit up. I just ate like 1 piece of cantaloupe, a couple pieces of bacon, and most of my, like an over easy egg. And then I had like an English muffin that it came with that I only ended up eating like, 3 or 4 bites of that because I sopped up my yolk with it. And, it felt like a normal breakfast, and I felt pretty comfortable. I didn't try to kind of keep it, I was kind of worried that I would eat too much before I realized that I wasn't about to touch the pancakes because those would go poop, and those have nothing in them that would help me. So that worked out pretty good. And the other thing I did tonight, we came back early, and then my sister was staying with me, so we had the 2 rooms together. She left tonight. I leave tomorrow night. So I'm here kind of hanging out tonight at the hotel, doing my thing. So I decided to walk over, because I'm like 15-minute walk, not even 15-minute walk, to the Mall of America. So I walked over to the Mall of America, walked around a little bit. I grabbed just an Arby's classic roast beef sandwich, figuring I'd just eat the meat and bring it home, bring it back here to the hotel room. And I did that. I don't know, that meat didn't agree with me quite as well. I haven't had roast beef yet. I think it's a little bit less broken up than something like ground beef. Ground beef seems to be okay, but this didn't so well. So maybe, if I were to recommend it, I would say go with like the other shredded meat, like the chicken or something. I think they have a shredded chicken, and you can just get the meat. And in MyFitnessPal, you can look up the information for just the meat, and it'll give you just the meat. So that's been an experience. And then I've had my protein bars and my protein shakes, and I think I have some like applesauce that I put in my suitcase too, just to have as a extra thing. So it's been, it's been interesting. I'll be curious to see what my weight is. I don't have a scale here. Tomorrow will be 6 weeks. I don't have a scale, so I don't know what my weight is. Last week at week 5 it was 204, so I was down, I think that was down, I don't remember what I did last week, but it was down like 3 pounds or something, 2 or 3 pounds or something like that. I'm really trying not to focus on my weight. I'm trying to focus on how I feel, and I definitely am starting to feel different in my clothes. I really hadn't noticed that until this trip, because I grabbed a few things I haven't worn in a while. I hadn't worn jeans because it hadn't been cool enough, and I have jeans that are getting loose. I have shirts that are getting longer because I'm not filling them out as much, so they hang down longer. So I definitely notice my clothes are feeling different, and I'm trying to focus on that rather than the actual scale. I won't be home I'll be home till late tomorrow, so I probably won't weigh myself until Tuesday morning to kind of see where I'm at. It was 204 last week, so I don't know if I'll pop below 200 or not. Hopefully I'll do it. If I don't do it this week, then I'll do it next week, because that's going to be a big milestone for me. I haven't seen below 200 in a long time. So it's been an interesting trip, and I just want to tell people it's really not that hard. The hardest part of a trip, which is the same thing I have trouble with at home or if I'm busy all day, is just water, drinking enough water. And one thing I found was I was over at my aunt's house, and I went to just get a drink of water, and her water just tasted funny to me. It just did not taste right. So I put a bunch of ice in, thinking, okay, if I make it cold, it'll be better. And I still don't like the taste of it. Well, we had a bunch of watermelon left over from the luncheon that we had. And I took a couple of little squares of watermelon, and I just kind of crunched them with a fork in a plate and poured that all into my water, so it flavored my water just enough where the water didn't taste quite so funky. And that was a suggestion that my nutritionist gave me, which if you're going to flavor your water, rather than flavoring it with juice, flavor it with like an actual piece of fruit, like mush up a strawberry or mush up, some kind of berry or something, and put it in your water to flavor your water naturally, because I just don't seem to like the artificial flavorings. They just don't taste right to me, so I've had a little trouble with that. And the water in the hotel seems to be okay. I seem to like that water okay, and the bottled water, but there's something about their water and their tap water. So just something to keep in mind that you just have to juggle. And most of the time I've been getting my water here, but I forgot to bring my water bottle with me. So I always have it with me. That was the important thing. You know, I found that I could stick like a regular water bottle like this. I had this water bottle that I got at the airport, because they don't let you bring water bottles in there, but you can buy them once you're in near where you by the gates. Then you can buy your water bottle. So I bought one, and that actually fits in my purse. You know, so I can just sort of have it with me all the time if I really have to. It kind of sticks out, but at least I can kind of hide it a little bit, because it's like, okay, what do you do with water when you're in a church for a funeral, or, you know, at a something that you don't want to just, you know, like we were at the visitation the night before for several hours, and, you know, I did kind of walk around with it a little bit, but I pretty much kind of set it over by my purse, and I would just go over there every once in a while and take a sip. But it was hard to remember to drink enough. That was probably the hardest thing. I probably did the best yesterday when we were walking around the mall, because I was just carrying my water bottle with me the whole time, drinking, and I find a water fountain, fill it back up again, and keep drinking. So, anyways, I just wanted to share with you guys my travel stuff and where I'm at right now. I'll give you more numbers next week when I get around to it and get home and so everything kind of settles down again. And I'll be curious. I did a lot of walking, probably more walking than I've done, because I was kind of sick the week before and didn't do much at all. So I feel good that I got a lot of walking in. I felt energized. I have not felt tired, even though we've done a lot. So my energy level is back up to better than normal. I haven't had this much energy in a long time, so I really kind of feel like I can keep up for the first time in a long time. And you know, that's kind of where I'm at right now. If anybody has questions, let me know. I can't think of anything else to talk about right now. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye.